Howdy, boys.
Good
Ladies and germs.
Hey.
I'm trying not to laugh.
Ladies
because
and
what we're
germs.
talking about.
Yeah, Mike, I got to apologize. NAYO. I went out to the shop and I looked to see if I still had my paramedic fireman vest, and I ain't got it no more. I turned all
I
that
got
crap
one
in
around
when
here somewhere.
I had an official one. I mean, it said paramedic on it. You know, please don't shoot me. I'm here to save your stupid life, kind of thing. But no, I don't have it no more. So howdy. We got some business we need to take care of right off the bat. Mr. Shane is here, the blind videographer, and he is a member for 3 months. So thank you for that. This is going to be like a double right here, Shane. Hang tight. And a $4.99 super chat. Shane, we thank you very much and appreciate it.
Thank you, Shane.
Thanks, Shane.
Very much. Thank you, brother. And Shane has a YouTube channel. He is Adventures in Blind Videography. So go check his channel out and don't tell him that he's blind because he doesn't know that.
Yeah, he doesn't know yet.
He does not. I've met him and that guy, he don't know. So we're going to talk about scanners tonight, eventually. And there'll probably be a squirrel or two run through the set as there always is. We've got our guest tonight. Let me see if I point the right. Oh, I just hit myself in the face with the mic wire. We've got our guest tonight. Look, I even pointed the right way. Mr. Glenn.
Hey. Well done.
VK2HTV. I think I got that right. I hope so.
Thanks for having us on.
Oh, you're welcome. And we're going to talk scanners. And as you know, I'm a scanner kind of nerd, and so is someone else.
Yup.
He's got a couple of vests. I turned all mine in when I left the fire department.
Me too.
And and Glenn made a comment before the show that I loved. He said scanners are cool. I'm paraphrasing a little bit here, Glenn.
Yeah.
He said scanners are cool because you don't have to be a real nerd to enjoy them. And so that lets Chuck join in the fun as well. Chuck, you don't scan, do you, bro? Do you even scan, bro?
No, I did enough of that when I was working.
See, I still like listening. I like knowing what's going on.
Yeah.
I left it.
I do too. I like listening. But what we were saying before the show got started, whenever I listen to the scanner, and I guess it's a nighttime, I can say it's some shit's going down. You know, where they got like a car pulled over on the side of the road,
right,
finding guns and drugs and all kinds of stuff they shouldn't be finding in there. It's almost always a Chevy Malibu. Now, I'm not making fun of people who have a Chevy Malibu, but for whatever reason, Chevy Malibu owners seem to have a propensity to attract the law. Next in line would be the Nissan Sentra. Then that one gets a lot of cop calls too, but like I'm sitting there and I'll tell my old lady, I say, here comes a call. I bet you they're in a Malibu, and I'm usually right.
Who knew the Malibu was the villain car of choice?
Yeah, the preferred car.
So I guess you don't have a lot of encrypted police there. There's some counties I think that do, but
in the United States it varies a lot. So here in Montgomery County, Alabama,
right there.
So Ed, you were in the Sketchmobile. You're welcome, James Hannibal. I hand you the copyright, my friend. Go for it. Here in Montgomery, so the Montgomery City Fire Department is encrypted once again. They turned it off for like 3 or 4 months, and I got all excited because I could listen to the fire department again. And then they turned it back on. They're completely encrypted, and the city police department has 1 or 2 channels in the clear, like their dispatch channels, but all their car-to-car and detectives and TAC channels are all encrypted. And the county is completely unencrypted. Everything, fire department, sheriff's office, all that. So that's how it rolls here in Montgomery County, and then that varies. The next county over, everything is unencrypted. All their municipal PDs and sheriffs and fire and everybody else. So,
yeah, here in Australia, every state, because each state runs their own police force, has now gone encrypted. And where Hayden is, that was the last one to go encrypted, and so there's no listening to police at all in Australia.
Wow, that sucks.
That sucks.
A lot of people here are protesting the encryption of public service. They're like, if it's a public service and we pay for it, it shouldn't be encrypted. Now, we had a lady in our neighborhood who's got the Unication. I don't know which one she's got, but she was streaming the police over Facebook.
Right.
And everybody got all upset about it. They were like, you need to stop that. You can't, and I guess I kind of get it. But to me, I don't think the criminal masterminds are out there running a scanning system to hear if the cops are coming or not.
I agree with you. That's right. We had a case here where it wasn't a case. The fire chief's wife in another department, a county department, was listening on one of their spare trunk radios or a scanner, I don't know which. And so she was damn near live posting every time the sheriff's office got into a foot chase or a sitch. And she'd like, units are out. I mean, she's live posting. Units are out at this road and that road and be on the lookout. And I'm like, whoa. And the sheriff's department got kind of chapped at her about it.
Well, so there a lot of people are talking about things that are getting streamed over the internet. I think a lot of times what you hear are the dispatch channels getting streamed over the internet. And I might be wrong, but not the TAC channels. So the TAC channels are the ones where it's like, hey, you probably shouldn't be streaming that because it's active, I guess, investigation or response or something like that. But people still do that, and that's the part I think that they get upset about.
Right. Yeah. And if you go to Broadcastify, there is a ton of public safety stuff on Broadcastify. Now, I only listen to like fire and PD stuff. That's all I care about listening to. I know other friends of mine that listen to the county garbage haulers. And
I do. I love listening to the county dump. It's the best. It is the best.
One of the things when you first get a scanner, I think you think, oh man, I want to listen to everything. And I think after a while you start to tune in exactly you want to listen to, and we'll probably get into a bit of that. But yeah, I think eventually you sometimes almost have nothing or have very limited things. I do, and I'll have something. I'll get sick of listening to everything, and then I'll just have a scanner on just for a few little emergency things, and that'll just be in the background. And then when I know I hear those things going off, something's going on locally. So that's what's really good about not actually listening to what's going on, because even professional scanner listeners who work for TV news stations, they're not listening to every single word. They're waiting for those keywords. And and if you just got a scanner on that's just chatting away real intense in the background, you think, I might have to listen to that and turn it up and find out what's going on. And I think we were talking about this before in the chat. You guys as firefighters, when you're listening to somebody's conversation on the fire department radios and you hear their intensity in their voice or their seriousness, you know something is not right and it's not going. That's what you kind of also have to listen to, is you hear their worry in their voice, and then you'll get to know some stuff before it gets on the media, and you'll start to filter out what is interesting stuff and what is necessary stuff.
Yeah, just the way dispatch will say stuff. Go ahead, Chuck.
Like I said, the only time we used TAC channels was if we had a major fire or something, or some kind of major incident. Otherwise, everything was over the air. And then sometimes, there's certain things you can't. If people are listening, you can't really say over the air,
right?
Legally.
Yep.
So medical stuff mainly, but most of that's
right.
Most of the time, you didn't say it over the air. So you had to.
So in our department, like most fire departments, we ran 80% of our calls were EMS.
First two.
And the logic, I think that's like a nationwide statistic. If your fire department does EMS, 80% of your total calls are EMS. And we, the argument I hear for encryption, well, it's HIPAA because you can't put out patient information. I never put out patient information, and I never got it from dispatch.
Yeah,
we get dispatched to a general medical, and they're having a heart attack, or there's a tree limb through their eyeball, or whatever. They never told us that kind of stuff. I want to know who calls 911 and says I'm having a general medical. Hit it, Apester.
Thank you, Richie. And then we got one more right behind it with T-Ray. Thank you, T-Ray.
T-Ray and Richie, our heroes. Thank you, brothers.
Let me go over here. And he uses the RTL
Thanks, T-Ray.
SDR dongles. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they work great.
3 of them. 3 of them.
If we got time, I'll show you a little demo if it works on stream. But
A demo on stream. Oh, that is teeing up the gods to smite you right there, man.
It didn't work before, so it might not work now. So I guess if we kick off what some of the things, if you're going to buy a scanner, you probably have to work out what you want to listen to and what type of scanner you want, whether you want a portable one or whether you want a mobile one or one for home. And sometimes that portable one can do both. You know, you can have the one that you can take with you. But you probably want to work out, what you want to listen to in your area.
Yeah. Or what's available in your area.
That's right. And you can start by looking at things like radio reference. That'll help you out. And I'm going to talk a lot today about the Uniden scanners because that's the flavor I know, and there's a lot of other brands. But the Unidens have in the States, they have the zip code scanning. So you just enter your zip code in and it'll put everything in. And sometimes that's okay, but you might want to create favorites. So you just lock out a lot of all that chatter. And you don't want to know about the guy with the power pole and, he's going to fix number 9654 and all that sort of stuff. That sort of stuff becomes irrelevant. And then you can start to think about what sort of services you want to listen to. And in the States, you've got that National Weather Service. That would be one. If I was in the States, I would actually probably have that National Weather Service, and they're on the 162 megahertz. So you could have that and it talks all the time. So you probably don't want to be listening to that all the time. And there are different frequencies in different areas, but it's pretty much the whole of the 162 megahertz.
But when they go into emergency broadcast, don't they use like a CTCSS tone?
Yeah,
and
something similar to it.
And then I think that you can maybe put that tone if you have it programmed out. You have to program it differently though, right? Like you can't just use the zip code scan.
So that's called the same tone, and I can't remember what same stands for. I'm sure someone in the chat will tell us, but so there's different codes for every county in the United States. And so you'd put in the code for whatever counties you're interested in getting alerts for. So I would put in the code for Montgomery County and
specific area encoding.
Yeah, something like that.
So does it work?
Somebody put in a chat.
You have the CTCSS to basically block out that constant weather report, and then when it's an emergency, the CTCSS opens up that and lets you hear the emergency.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And like the Uniden scanners, I know will support same encoding, so you can have the weather set to alert. And if we have a weather radio, it's down the hallway next to my wife's side of the bed, because if it goes off the middle of the night, I'm likely to throw it across the room so it quits making noise. Yeah, she's the responsible one in the marriage. But
and then if you live near the coast, you might want to listen to the emergency marine channel 156.8. So that puts out. Sometimes that's some chat and they go to a different channel, but you can be informed with what's going on if you're right close to a marine or a port.
Right. Channel 9 and 16 on the marine radios.
16 and 67. You hear? I think that's
okay.
Might be slightly different.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the same. I can't remember. I have a marine radio somewhere next to the boat.
16 is worldwide. 156.8. And then, of course, you've got airband if you're interested in listening to air that's going on, and that's just above the broadcast band. So between 108 and 137 is the airband. And you can look up some of those frequencies on radio reference. There are other sources to find that. And
if you have like a regional airport, they have a specific frequency for that airport traffic you might want to put in there too.
Yeah, that's right. So you have, and I talk as a pilot, you have area frequency. So if you're in a country area, you'll probably have one that covers your area. If you're near an airport, you'll have a tower. There's also the weather that gets transmitted as well, the ATIS. But yeah, if you're in a country area, you can just put on that country frequency. It's just an area frequency.
Yeah,
the traffic that comes overhead.
The airports here, and I'm sure it's exactly the same in Australia, I would guess. You have untowered, mostly untowered airports. I mean, every airport does not have a control tower.
Yeah.
And they have a common traffic advisory frequency for everything that has a runway that can land an airplane.
Yeah.
So if you're anywhere near one of those, they're on, CTAF. They're all on VHF. And then towered airports for controlled airspace, they'll have, depending on the size, they'll have ground control, clearance delivery, approach, departure, and tower, and then probably maintenance sky frequencies. And then in the United States, and I'm sure it's the same in Australia, we have the air route traffic control centers, and so they have their own frequencies. And it's still somewhere in the VHF band, I think, if I remember right.
It's still all between 108 and 137.
137. Yeah. So like here, we're in the Atlanta ARTCC area. Yep. So there's a lot. Yeah, Glenn's. There's a lot of air traffic that you can monitor.
And you probably wouldn't. I mean, it's interesting for a while, but you probably just want to listen to what's going overhead or what's in your just local area, and you can find those local, not the CTAF frequencies, but you can find the area frequencies quite easy, and just listen to that if you want to, or if you really want to go to extreme, you can put them all in.
Yeah, well, the CTAF frequencies are listed. There's a bunch of websites that have those. AirNav and all that kind of stuff will have CTAFs, and I think Radio Reference has aircraft.
Here you go, airnav.com.
Yep.
And the other way to do it is
Shane McShane face. What's up?
In most scanners, you have a search. Some of them even have a, I think it's called a service, which confuses me, but it just means that you can go to the air and it will scan. It'll search between 108 and 137. Or you can just type those in that engine and just search and see what comes up.
Yeah, I've got a little Yaesu, and it has airband on there, and I just put it on the airband frequency, and then hit the scan button, and it just keeps looping that that range.
Yeah,
and another good one is Guard too, 121.5, which I think is worldwide, isn't it, Glenn? Is it 121.5 everywhere? Yeah.
And in fact, the commercial airlines that are flying overhead actually have one of their standby radios on that all the time.
On Guard.
They hear somebody down below in the hundreds of feet calling emergencies, and they can relay that. So, yeah, a lot of commercial airlines listen to that. And also, when I used to fly helicopters up in the Great Barrier Reef, sometimes air traffic control asks you to go to that frequency. And because you hear the beacons, and they ask if you can hear the beacon, how strong is it, and then they can start to narrow down what the search area is if they're looking for somebody.
And if you're going to get intercepted, you need to have your radio on guard. If the jets pull up next to you, you should be on guard so they can yell at you.
Yeah. Haven't had that problem yet.
Me neither. I'm innocent.
Yeah.
And I've heard other traffic on guard. I heard something on it. And the radio in my truck, the secondary VFO is on guard most of the time.
Yeah.
Just cause. But
and
scan and airband is AM.
Yeah, that's right. Airband's AM, and the EPIRBs that you have for transmitting to the satellite, they will transmit on two frequencies. They'll transmit. Oh, actually, I think they'll transmit on more than that. But they'll also transmit on 121.5, and that's simply so people who have that airband radio in their aircraft can actually tune into those PLBs and try and hone in on it. And it just pumps out a little beak and a little tone. Just so if you're nearby, you'll hear the signal strength, and you'll go, "Wow, that is close." And what happens also is a lot of the rescue helicopters here get sent to false alarms because somebody's chucked them out in a dumpster and they're in the and they're
still active
because the tip has crushed the PLB. It's set it off, but they still have to respond to it.
Right. Personal locator beacon.
Yeah, personal locator
jump scan.
beacon.
PLB.
EPIRB. There's many different acronyms for them.
ELT is the one I remember.
And there's many different theories. I actually we had to do an underwater escape training thing, and had an argument with a guy teaching me. He said, "Oh, you just turn them all on at once." And I said, "Well, no. What you need to pace yourself. If you're not going to be found for many days, you don't want to turn them all at once. You want to say, okay, let's turn that one on and this one on and the next one on.
Right.
You turn them all on at once, and then they'll go, wow, there is some trouble here. There's 5 going off in that one spot. And then turn them off and then just pace yourself, yeah.
So in Australia, are you guys mostly P25 now, or is there still FM or FM, VHF, UHF, public safety, or is that all commercial?
Yeah, so it depends on all the public safety is in the trunk system, and trunk system is a little bit more complicated than just your conventional scanning. And yeah, so most of them, all the police in Australia, whether it be federal police or state police, are all encrypted. So there's no listening to that at all. You can't listen to any encrypted conversations on a scanner. But the ambulance and the metropolitan fire and the rural fire, they're all on the trunk system. And there also there's different layers. So they'll also have a VHF for just talking ground communications just between firefighters. But pretty much most of, and we're done on a state-based system. So each state controls their own way they do things, and they're not quite aligned with each other, which is a bit of a problem. But most of them use the trunking P25, and they're just moving over to the phase 2 P25. And I can show you in a while how we can find some of those frequencies too.
They're asking questions around why the air band is AM. And I think it has something to do with AM. It's easier to have multiple operators on the same frequency than it is with FM. But I don't know if that's true or not. That's just speculation on my part.
Yeah, some of it goes into history. One of the weirdest things about aircraft is it takes a long time to get something TSO approved or approved for use in an aircraft, and they have to go through lots of specs, and you can't just put any radio into an aircraft. And the crazy thing is, so way back in the 1940s, you had a crystal microphone, and you had to excite that crystal with some electricity. Mm-hmm. So the crazy thing is that even if you've got a modern microphone, modern headset, the standard still says you have to be able to comply if somebody plugs in a crystal microphone, and you go, what? Okay. So there's a lot of that sort of retrospective stuff that happens. And AM is, I'm assuming, I don't know exactly, but I'm assuming that it's part of that retrospective compatibility, and to change it is just not going to happen. And also AM does a little bit further too.
Right.
I like that they're saying it's because AM was the original and nobody decided to upgrade.
They don't want to do the upgrade.
That's right. That's why I say, crystal mics. How many use a crystal mic? And no one.
Right.
But they've still got to allow for it.
Right. And so when you're doing a P25 trunk, which is here in the United States, it's phase 2 is trunking. Can you trunk on phase 1?
Yeah, absolutely. There's some.
Okay, I wasn't aware.
Going.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought phase 2 meant trunking.
That's what I thought too. I thought they ddn't have trunking until phase 2.
No, not at all.
Okay.
I'll just flick over to here. So I'll put the volume. So this is just a combination of just ambulance, and this is like the guys that go and rescue you if you're broken down in a tunnel.
That looks so nice.
25. That's just here. I be a little bit out of focus. But in fact, I'll go to this camera. This is probably a bit better. It's just P25, so it's not phase 2. It actually has P25, P2 if it's phase 2. So that conversation there.
What are you doing, Jim? You
I'm not touching it, son. My hands aren't even on it.
And in a trunking system, you have to know the control channel You have to know the talk group, which is similar to DMR in amateur radio. You don't have to know the unit ID, but it's handy if you can tag it, because when that radio comes up, you'll actually get who actually is talking as well. So some of the information is quite good. But definitely P1 is still, there's a phase 2 there now. That's an ambulance, and that just said there P25, P2. So the ambulance are a combination of both phase 1 and phase 2, because they're just about to switch over to that.
Copy that.
So we got Scanner Shane is saying that that's his favorite. Now, Jim said that he emailed Scanner Shane, and
I've been trying to talk to that knucklehead on Discord for 3 days, and he ain't answered.
You should have got him on the scanner. That's all I'm saying.
He's in California. I can't reach out and get him from Alabama. Scanner Shane, should we send Scanner Shane a link? Because I would love to have him on the show as well.
I'm fine if you do. The only thing is that he has to have a shirt on and be reasonably clean.
Yeah.
Have you met him?
He seems buttoned up, but you never know.
Right? I mean, he seems, for a ginger, he seems okay.
He's off duty. Them gingers, man, they got a hot temper. He's off duty. Probably Irish. He could be drinking the liquor. You never know. I'm just saying.
All right, let me grab a link.
So there's a piece of software. It's pretty old, called Unitrunker, and I'll switch over to it now. I think I can do that.
Scanner Shane, check your Discord, boy.
He told you to get your shine box.
That's right. Get your shine box.
So we got Glenn's doing some live action over here.
Oh, there we go. So this is Unitrunker. I just typed in the one frequency, which was the one that's in the center of Sydney. I'm not far from the center of Sydney. And literally I just typed in that 1416125. And here we go. So this little list here, you could probably see where my purple mouse is. That's the list of all the peers. So they're all the control channels that are next to where we are. So that just all appeared by just typing in the one frequency. And it might be a little hard to see, but literally.
Are you using an SDR for that?
Yeah, so I'm just using an RTL dongle. And that has just brought all that in. So literally from the one frequency, I've now got probably another 20 frequencies that are nearby. So that's another way to be able to find. And then what this will do, will start to show the red is the frequency 416125. That's the one I typed in. And then it shows all the voice frequencies. And then over here it shows all the talk groups that are talking, and then it'll show the RIDs. But this is a great way to collect all those RIDs. And when you hear what is talking, you can then go, oh, okay, that's ambulance number 954. They're talking on this talk group, and that's their RID. So that's a way to be able to find the frequency and also see the actual talk groups in action. And that's just a simple program. It's really old, the Unitrunker. I haven't actually used it for a long time. So it's if you're not using radio reference or you're not using your zip code scanning, it's an easy way just to be able to find some of those trunking channels.
That's pretty cool.
And another thing you can do with, and Glenn was sharing off his SDS 200, so I will pimp mine. So there's a lot of software available to drive scanners, and a lot of it has two functions. It'll do CPS functionality to load all that stuff into your scanner, or set up if you want to do a capture, like you want to do the Unitrunker has a thing called close call, where it'll monitor within a certain mile range in a frequency band, and it'll grab channels, and so you can figure out if you want to keep it or not.
It's a little down on digital, I found, but it works okay on analog.
Right, yeah. He even combed his hair.
Oh, he just disappeared. What happened?
My hands are not even on the keyboard, son.
Oh, somebody's getting a little click happy up in here.
Chuck is, you know how Chuck is. You
guys can hear me?
I'm just listening, man.
We can.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, cool. I'm trying to.
We can hear ourselves.
We're echoing.
Shane, do you have your audio on?
Yes, I do.
What
So this
software
is-
that, Jim?
This is ProScan,
Okay.
and
There you
one
go,
of the
Rob.
other things. Yeah, boy, that echo's rolling.
They never left my wrist.
Is that me?
I think so.
I have no idea how that's happening.
Is your audio out through your headphones or your
It's
phone?
probably on your computer.
No, I'm on my phone.
Are you watching YouTube on the PC too?
No, I'm not.
Testing, testing. Do we have an echo? We don't.
It's gone now.
Yeah, because I
Hello?
muted Mr. Shane.
Yeah.
Oh, buddy, come on. Get your
Damn it,
gear
Jim.
together. We'll be back to Shane.
This is all unexpected.
Well, if you ever checked your Discord, you ginger.
Dude, the clubhouse was blowing up my phone like crazy.
I just discontinued all the chats from them, so I don't have to.
I'm telling you.
No, I mute the clubhouse notifications.
Yeah, I should probably do that myself.
Well, you figure that out because we got to mute you. You're echoing. It's making it echo really bad. So this is ProScan. And like I was saying, so this will do CPS functions. And ProScan supports, 20 or 30 scanners, a bunch of them.
Yep.
And with a lot of them, you can also get this virtual scanner function. And you can change this window to have the CPS functionality up or just the scanner functionality or some variation in between. So it's pretty nice to be able to see what you're doing. And it shows you, the signal strength and date time in P25 if it locks on a P25 channel. And then all the other P25 related data. And then ProScan is nice because it will allow you to web serve your scanner over the internet, either through a USB cable or this one's hooked up with a network cable. But either way, you can then serve it over the internet. So you can stream. You don't have to broadcast it to the whole world. You can just listen to it at work or on your phone or whatever, so you can hear your own scanner when you're not at the house, which is pretty cool.
And with that, there's an app called Siren, and you can actually stream it to if you've got an old iPhone, you can actually stream it to your iPhone and control the scanner from your iPhone on that little app.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Okay, how's this? Is this any better?
That works with ProScan.
No. Still got
Still
the echo.
getting somebody's coming through with an echo.
And I've got a similar thing, a virtual scanner going on mine there, and that's just literally plugged into the USB port. And that is just using the program that I use to program my scanner called Butel. And it's bizarre because it's actually written for the 536 when I'm actually using the SDS 200, which is the European version. So
Now that software looks nice.
Well, this is just that is just the interface. Now, if I open up one of these, actually, if I go to the scanner itself, this software is literally like a spreadsheet. So this is I cannot understand the Sentinel program.
It's horrible.
It's just horrible to program a scanner. And I still use it to update the scanner if I have to do a firmware update. But it's acting a little bit slow because I've got so many things running at the moment. But in terms of programming, here you go. So it just literally, these are the sites. You type in the frequency. There's just one frequency, which is all you need. You just need the control channel. And then here's the talk groups. So that's the talk group number and the ID. And it's all written as a spreadsheet. So you can cut and paste just like you
That's
do.
nice.
But do you import that from Radio Reference, or is that?
Well, Radio Reference is not very good in Australia. So we have to use things like I did before with Trunk Tracker and Unitrunker to be able to find some of those frequencies. And there's a few groups on Facebook that will start identifying any of these talk groups or the trunk frequencies. So we can't use the zip code scanning because it doesn't work here. So we only do favorites, which is good in a way, because then you're not listening to everything. You're creating lists that you only want to listen to. But I really like this software, and I bought the pro version of this way back from the 780 days, and I know the format, but I just love how you can just cut and paste, and you don't have to muck around with thinking, oh no, I did the wrong layer, and have to go back 3 steps and stand on your head and tap your fingers, So yeah, this is really nice, and it's made by, I think, a guy in the Netherlands.
Butel, yes, it's butel.nl is their website,
and
they've been around. That company, has been making scanner software, forever. I mean, like 15, 20 years at least. And because I've bought some of their software when I had to like order it from the web on AOL old. I mean, it was ancient.
And as a tip, if you want this interface, you have to buy the pro version. And if you just get the basic version, I don't remember what the price is between the pro and the basic. So if you don't need this interface, just get the basic. But if you want this option of being able to have the interface, which just runs off the USB port, you have to get the pro version to make it do that. And it does what we were kind of doing there with Unitrunker. It does list out the frequencies, the talk groups, the channels, and
that's how they get you with that interface.
Yeah.
And now Glenn is showing you the Butel software, and then and he mentioned Sentinel.
Oh yeah,
and
I've got it somewhere.
Sentinel is I don't want to be the only one up here.
Is my mic still echoing?
And we lost Glenn.
Hello.
Oh.
No.
There we go. Yes, you're not echoing.
I'm not echoing.
You got it.
God damn.
Okay.
About freaking time.
Computer, huh? Oh, those things. This damn thing.
I'm on my phone. It's not my computer.
Did you get those at the gas station?
Target, but close. Yeah.
It's the gas station right next to Target.
Right, yeah, that's it. It's got one of these USB adapters, so I don't know.
I was going to say something now, and I forgot completely what it was from something Glenn was saying.
I was just on Sentinel then, and it just started to.
Oh yeah. That's what I was going to tell him. So there's 3 programs that I'm aware of that program scanners. Sentinel is the one put out by Uniden, and it's free.
Yep.
And
that's that one.
It's worth every penny you've paid for it, and it works.
Yeah.
It's a little tricky to navigate, but it works.
It's kind of a goofy interface, in my opinion.
Yeah.
There's the Butel software, which is the one Glenn was showing, and this is
right now.
Hang on, Glenn. We're looking at ProScan at the moment.
Yep.
And then like Butel, ProScan has a fuller interface. I had it down to just the virtual scanner. And I will say that I know how to drive ProScan. The interface is a little complicated on it, but it does a lot of stuff. And I do import from Radio Reference. And what I did was I imported everything from my county, 85% of which I didn't want to listen to. And then I just went through the list and started locking out the trash dump and the district attorney's office and the zoo and all that kind of stuff.
Is the best traffic.
I'm going to have to listen to the dump apparently, because you talk about how funny it is, and I feel I'm missing out.
Well, that's where
you are.
That's where you create the favorites, so you can then just select what you want to listen to, and
right,
a whole mash of just everything that comes in on the.
And you're not seeing the window, but so the ProScan only supports Uniden scanners. Looking at this list,
right?
And I think Butel supports also some scanners that are not Uniden scanners, like the GRE or the
Whistler and
Whistler. Yeah.
I have Unitrunker running in the background here. If anyone's interested,
pop it up, son.
And one of the things that also is ham radio related too. I actually have a bank of just ham channels in my scanner, and what that means is that you can have all your repeaters in there, and then if somebody's chatting on it, you can then go and talk on your ham radio. So that's a great way just to see if somebody's chatting on your local repeater by having a separate bank just for ham radio.
How do I
And
flip
actually-
my camera on this thing?
I don't know, son.
We saw
I think
it
you
there.
have to have
Oh,
it in landscape
you
mode
have-
when you join, right?
Mm,
There you go. Look at that. It did
There
it.
you go.
Ooh, fancy boy.
Okay.
He must have an Apple.
I'm hoping he's
No,
cleaned
it's
up
an
his
Android.
house.
It's an Android.
Can't believe it's working.
I know, me neither.
Glenn, that's an excellent idea. I hadn't even thought about that, but I've got like an all-star node here, and I can put the all-star node in there and just listen in if anybody's on it.
I actually found that by mistake. I just put amateur radio in and just didn't think about it. And then
There it is.
suddenly it was just popping up. These repeaters were popping up. And I thought, you know what? That's actually a really good idea to actually just have it going on in the background. And you go, oh, okay, that local repeater up in the hills is working. Somebody's talking on that.
So can you guys see that?
We can.
Yes.
Yeah, that's Unitrunker for our countywide system. And then over here is like where you put in the information. It's like the control channel goes here, and then it brings up a separate window over here, and you can see who's talking. Oops, and their IUIDs. See, I already labeled this one here, and then this column right here, you can see if it says P4, then that means it's an encrypted talk group. But it just has a 4 like this. That means it's clear, so you can listen to it. But the P4 means that it's an encrypted talk group. So it's a very handy thing.
Yeah, and it's
No,
good.
that's a Windows program you're running, Shane?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, that's what I was showing there before. It's good if you haven't got radio reference and you haven't found the frequency or the talk groups. So yeah, that's a really good program, and it's pretty old, the Unitrunker.
Yeah, I think a guy named Rick Parrish out of Texas designed it.
Yeah,
and there's like, I don't know, 30 different versions.
And so I just turned mine on just again then there, and it's populated all those frequencies again. So it goes out and finds all the local.
Oh, for the band plan.
Yeah, so it finds.
Yeah.
The band. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when you what are you running Unitrunker against? You're just using an SDR with Unitrunker?
Yes.
Just an SDR.
One or two? You got a separate one for your control channels, or?
I'm running one. Let me see if I can flip my camera again.
Glenn, you're running one or two, or
just running one, yeah. And
there it is, right here. And it's got this little. It's a cellular antenna actually, but it works pretty well for our countywide cell because the signal is really strong. But that's the SDR I'm running, the RTL SDR. I know it's kind of dark.
Yep.
Sorry about that.
And that's a good way just to start looking at what's happening in your local area and what talk groups are active.
Yeah.
That's what I
now
use.
is Unitrunker, is that free software, or is that a pay version, or?
No, it's free.
And there is another one, DSD, that goes with the SDR.
DSD Plus. Yep.
DSD Plus.
I've got that. I use that frequently.
So DSD Plus is based just a speech decoder. It's a digital speech decoder. And
that's what DSD stands for.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Wasn't there something called like Angel or something like that does DMR decoding? SDR Angel or something like that?
I've heard of SDR Angel. Yeah, SDR Angel's a thing. I can't remember if that's an SDR program or a scanner thing. Yeah, DSD Plus will decode all of the digital voice modes, including ones that you don't use, like NXDN
and D-Star.
And D-Star and P25 and Fusion and DMR. And the cool thing about talking about what Glenn was mentioning earlier, if you don't know what's going on, right? You find a repeater and you're like, well, I think this is a repeater, but I'm not sure if it's DMR or Fusion. You can fire up DSD Plus and it will decode or at least tell you this is DMR, this is P25. And the beauty of that is on the P25 side, it will also tell you if it's an encrypted channel, similar to what he's showing with that Unitrunker program. So if I turn it on and let it monitor our P25, it'll say Montgomery's Fire Department and it'll show E for encrypted, and it doesn't even try to play it because it's encrypted.
Yeah.
So
So it's a really cool way to find stuff to listen to on your main scanner.
the funny thing about Unitrunker as well is it will also show you the affiliations. So it'll show
Right.
you either
So
who's
is
turned the
DSD.
radio off, who's turned the radio on, or who's changing channels, who's doing what or going where. It'll show you that stuff too. It's pretty
Oh, yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, DSD does the same thing as they switch states on their end user devices. It'll tell you,
Yeah,
you know,
it'll tell
new
you which
radio
talkers they're
affiliated
affiliated to.
right.
And one of the things too is that you can overcomplicate things with a lot of these things and listen to too much. But I also recommend that you do narrow down things to just a couple of things that you constantly listen to. Like I was saying before, just some emergency things, and then because otherwise you get bamboozled by so much information. And just having those prepper things or just those weather frequencies or whatever it is as a regular thing, that's probably the best way to just cut out a lot of the other chatter, and then as a regular thing that you're listening to.
Did he just say bamboozled? Like
He did.
Joey
I'd say
from Friends?
bamboozled.
And he's Australian, so it's very official when he says bamboozled.
My half
I
English
immediately thought of Friends when he said that.
accent. Really?
So raise your hand if you ever listened to cordless phone conversations back in the day.
Oh yeah.
I was too young. Too young, thank God.
Nope.
They were
never
on
done it.
Oh,
Fine.
really, Abe?
Never
Really?
done it.
500 megahertz, and they were in the open. And when I used to work for a news channel, we actually used to find information that way.
Yeah. They were the original cordless phones here were on 49 megahertz.
Oh,
49?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
low band?
Oh, you mean the home
49.
ones? Yeah.
Yes, the home not cell phones, not mobile phones.
The original
Home
cell
cordless phones.
Were on
Oh,
Home
my.
cordless phones were on 49 megahertz here. 49 and some change.
Yeah.
Yep. 6 meters. Almost 6 meters.
The McDonald's drive-through was almost exactly the same too. It was on 49 or 48 or something like that.
Yeah, that's what James Hannibal's saying in the chat, that 49 is apparently quite popular.
Well, my buddy in high school had a CB with like the big old 111-inch whip and an amp and all that stuff. And we would sit outside. It wasn't a McDonald's, it was a different fast food place, and key up when people were trying to order, and it would just overload their whole entire system, and people could never. They could never get their order in, and they'd have to.
You did that?
You're just heterodyning the heck out of them.
But he didn't listen to cordless phones, but he did do
It
that.
wasn't me. It was my friend. It was my friend who
Okay.
did it.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I was
Absolutely.
And you taught
advising
him how,
to
right?
not, to not do that at the time, but it was hilarious.
Oh, Taylor's
you
got
you
a great
advise someone
comment.
not to do something, they're going to do it.
Baby monitors.
You
I
just
didn't
say
think
it.
about baby monitors, but yeah, those things and drive-throughs and cordless phones. When mom and dad got the baby monitor in their bedroom, boom, checka, wow, wow.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
When I was a kid growing up, I had a 27 megahertz CB radio, and I used to talk to the States. And many, many years later, the next door neighbor told me that they were picking up my conversation on their clock radio. They never told me at the time. They only told me years later. So I'm thinking, I wonder what sort of conversations.
What did I say?
Yeah, that's funny when that stuff happens. When I got my first HF radio, it was 817 ND, and whenever I would key it up, one of my TVs in the house would turn off, and my wife's like, "What did you do?" And I was like, "I didn't do nothing." I had no idea that it would do that.
The worst things are those touch lamps.
Yeah.
They go off all
The
the time.
touch lamps and also the PA systems for home alarms.
Oh,
I've had that
right.
happen where my voices started coming out of my grandparents' PA system and their security alarm system.
Yeah,
That could be
it's
entertaining.
Yeah.
This is the police. We need you to come out now with your hands up. Granny and Grandpa are like, what?
What? I didn't do it. And Grandpa, I told you to hide the reefer.
That's right. Jim's mentioning cellular on a Bearcat 760. That would be illegal, Jim, to divulge it.
Yeah. Well,
I had a Pro 2006, and if you clipped one diode, you could monitor cellular. Now, this was back in the 90s, so they're off that band now, I believe.
Oh, they're way
completely-
off that band.
Yeah, completely digital too, probably by
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
That would have been old Gen 1 or Gen 2 cell service.
Everybody's whipped up about these. Like, this is the turd pod, and this has the airband receive. I
Telling
really
you,
don't
Big
know how easily it's modded to transmit on
You want to be able to
AM.
see one?
This is the clear one. No, I'm just kidding. This is the green one, but
Oh, I got the clear one here.
and what's the reception like on airband? Is that pretty good on airband?
I haven't
pretty
even
good.
listened to it on this. This radio sucks so bad.
I have.
I
It's
know
pretty-
some
it's
people
pretty
like
good.
it, but
Because that's one of the things. Some of the newer SDR scanners don't really pick up AM too well, and some of the older Unidents pick up AM really well, really nice. And then I
Now,
guess-
one thing I want to ping you guys about is simulcast systems, because that's a thing.
That's what we have here.
Yep.
We have it here in Montgomery County, and we probably ain't got 1/3 the population. You probably 1/10
we
the
have it too.
population.
We have it too.
Yeah, we have a pretty beefy population here.
But so the simulcast is a legit problem for digital, right? Because
Yeah.
what happens is that you'll have the same frequency transmitting on two towers, and if you're under the umbrella of both of those towers, you'll be hearing the signal from both of them, but the sequencing of the data packets inside the digital stream is not in the right sequence.
Yep.
And then the radio is unable to arrange the packets into usable information, right? And so that becomes a real big problem for responders.
That actually happens with professional grade Motorola radios in the cars.
Yep.
Like they're in a certain geographical location, and the simulcast distortion just happens to be in that one particular spot, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. It just happens to be an overlapping area, and the
So
radio will just go bonkers and just quit.
So the state I live in has gone nuts for they call it the government radio network, or the PSN. I forget what it's called. But one thing I really found is fantastic. When I bought my SDS 200, I bought the little GPS puck, and when I'm driving, if I drive up the coast from Sydney, I put a 20-kilometre range on the sites, and I was a little skeptical at first, but when you start using it, you go, man, that's fantastic. So you might have something that's on the same frequency in Sydney, and it will only start to look at those towers on your little GPS range. So it's not quite using the same technology that the Motorola's use, but it's like a little bit of a compromise, and it actually works really well, because then you're not hearing stuff that's outside where you're driving. I really like that. I probably need to fine tune it a bit better, but it just also means you've got to go in and start putting the lat and long of the tower that you're listening to, and then you put a range, and so it does take a while to program, but eventually, I mean, there's probably 200 sites from Sydney to the top of the border where Queensland is, so there's a lot of sites.
So your system there is nationwide. Is it one system
No,
to rule them all?
No, because each state has their own policy, and that's a problem, because if you've got an emergency on the border, at one stage they would even be handing radios over to the firefighters on the other side to say, here you go, this is our radio system. So it was a bit crazy. It still is a bit crazy. So when you get closer to the borders of each state, they usually have a way of talking to each other. But yeah, it doesn't work sometimes, and it's caused a few problems.
Well, since we had you boys on last time, Jim and I have both got Unication G4s, so you're a bad influence there.
A terrible influence.
And Jim got the SDS 200.
Ooh,
Yep.
Did you? Wow.
Yes, I did.
Shane, you must be muted or something.
Hang on. I turned his volume down a little bit because he was so freaking loud.
Jim, you mess everything up, son. First,
Oh,
it's
fine.
the supporter
Say
chat
something
link.
clever, Shane. Talk, Shane. Shane.
I'm here.
Okay, there we go.
I'm here. All right.
So,
My
Jim,
bad.
I saw you talk. I
find-
saw you talking, and nothing was coming out. So I just wondered.
How do you find the
You had no
SDS 200, Jim?
I like it. I went from I had a 996 P2 here in my office here at home, and it worked fine. But I just wanted the newer, bigger, shinier one. I like the screen on the SDS 200, and the network functionality that they've added into that is just awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Because you can do all sorts of stuff with it, and that you can pipe your audio through your computer setup over the network connection.
Yeah.
You know, using something like ProScan, or you can just stream straight from the scanner over the internet. The functionality you get between the scanner itself and ProScan, and I don't know about the Butel software or some of the other software because I don't have it, but
Oh yeah.
yeah, I love it. I love the scanner. It's great.
It's the same as the 100. So I've got the Australian version called the USDS. They put an extra U on it, I think, simply so it doesn't cover the 800 meg. But it's just effectively the same screen except just enlarged, and it operates exactly the same. So if you're familiar with what you call the SDS 100, works the same as the 200.
It's very colorful.
The complaint that Ape and I both had about the SDS 100 is the battery life on it.
Yeah,
It's terrible.
So they added that bigger battery, or they made a bigger battery for it, which kind of made the back end a bit bulky.
Yeah, that's right. So I actually bought the bigger battery. That's what it's got a separate. You actually have to buy, or it comes with the bigger battery, a bigger.
It's got a bigger rear end.
Yeah. Because the small, so I just keep the small one as a backup, but I run that. Even this only lasts about 3 or 4 hours.
That looks
Now,
like
one thing
that looks like the stock battery though. This is my SDS.
Where's mine? Mine is not here. It's in the drawer.
It has this battery, but this battery does not last. No, the Unication G4.
Yeah,
that battery lasts like 2.5 days. I love it.
Yeah.
So I think they started shipping the bigger battery in later models, but initially they had the short battery. So yeah, that was.
I get about 8 hours of scanning out of this thing, and then I got to charge it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, one thing I've discovered with the, and I think I did a video on it if I remember right, you can use one of those Anchor or whatever third party
the
battery
power packs.
Yeah, and stick it in the USB cable and run it for a lot longer than the Unitin battery. But you got to DC the Unitin battery out of it to get it to work right. And it's kind of a pain in the ass to
run
carry
off the battery pack.
Right.
Yeah, and you have to. That's what I've got running now because it's a green light for charging. But I've just running that off a PC. But you have to make sure that your cable will support the power. If you use some types of of USBs.
Oh my Lord, Frank! I swear.
That's how Frank does.
I know.
And
Thanks, Frank.
Yeah, some of the USB cables won't work, Glenn. Is that what you're saying? Won't pass enough juice?
Some of the garage USB cables just won't be strong enough to power it or to charge it. So you have to sort of shop around. I've probably used about 10 different cables and finally found one that's got a right angle connector there so it doesn't stick out all the way. And
that's good.
One that sticks out all the way gets very clumsy and you knock it over really easily too.
Yeah, I find that
Sorry.
Go ahead, Shane. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Who was asking about... Oh, hang on. Who was asking about phase 2? Was that you, Jim? Was asking about if everything was phase 2? Or something about phase 1?
My question was, so phase 1, my understanding was that phase 1 was non-trunking and then phase 2 was trunking.
No, there's trunking on both ends, phase 1 and phase 2. The difference is between the two is phase 1 uses FDMA, whereas phase 2 uses TDMA. Yes.
So phase 1 is frequency division, multiple access, and then
and
phase 2 is time division, multiple access. So they narrowed the bandwidth on phase 2 from 25 to 12.5 megahertz.
12.5
Kilohertz.
kilohertz.
We have a dispute in the chat.
Uh-oh. Oh, geez.
I think Kenneth, we're gonna need a little bit more detail there.
I need some documentation. I need sites. I need case law. Now, Shane, I know Shane is right about FDMA and TDMA. That's exactly correct. And I'm thinking that they also narrowed the bandwidth between phase 1 and phase 2 from 25 to 12.5.
Phase 1 uses so let's just say phase 2 with the voice channels have like time slots, so you can have 2 simultaneous conversations going on one voice channel at the same time. So it essentially doubles your capacity with having to use less channels and having to acquire less licenses. So it allows more traffic on a smaller scale system.
And so on the Unidan SDS, I'm just displaying it there. Obviously, it's showing cap at the moment, but when it just says simply P20, there we go. P25.
I saw that. P2. Yeah, P2.
That's phase 2, but when it just says P25, that's phase 1.
It's phase 1.
Now, what's interesting, Glenn, is I'm looking at my SDS 200 right now, and what I know is a phase 2 system, at least according to radio reference. I haven't talked to the guys who do the radio system at the county. And mine just says P25. It's not showing me the P2. That's weird. I wonder if that's the difference between a European scanner and an American scanner.
No, Jim, you know what it is? Your talk groups are dynamic dual mode.
Okay.
So the talk group's dynamic dual mode. Yeah,
That's
dynamic
Batman and
dual
Robin, right?
mode. It means that the talk groups can do both ways. They can do phase 1 or phase 2, depending on what kind of radios are affiliated to the system. Because, for example, if a radio that can only do phase 1 is affiliated to the system, the talker will revert back to phase 1 so it becomes compatible with it until they can upgrade everybody to phase 2 capable radios, and then they'll make the switch. But there's a dynamic dual mode, and the system administrators can see that.
Right.
They can see when a talker has been reverted to FDMA from TDMA. And then there's other areas I think Baldwin County in Alabama is all TDMA. So all their talk groups are TDMA, and everything there is encrypted.
Thank you, T-Ray. Much appreciated.
T-Ray, okay. Well, I did not know that until you guys tonight. I was thinking P1 was non-trunked.
No.
Okay.
There's trunking on both ends. Yeah,
on both ends. I knew the FDMA, TDMA part, but I didn't know about the trunking for sure. Because as far as I knew, we didn't have any P1 systems here. So,
and of course, you don't just have to have P25 for trunking. You can have trunking on other systems.
DMR,
as well.
Yeah. DMR. Does NXDN do trunking as well?
Yes.
Yeah, I think actually NXDN is really big in trunking. I think that's one of their big features.
It's 4800 and 9600. And they use 6.25 kilohertz bandwidth for their channels.
And so they're TDMA also with real small channels?
No, I believe they are FDMA. They're just using 6.25.
Huh. That's that way they get to 12.5 across
instead of doing 12.5, yeah.
And so one of the interesting things you can do is if you're not sure whether it's a trunk system or a conventional system, especially in DMR, for, say, a local stadium or something like that, what I do is put it in as a conventional first, and then you'll start to see the way it operates differently, and then it starts to have data on some of the frequencies you put in, and you go, okay, this is a trunk system. So then what I do is then make a trunk system in the Butel software, and then it works. It starts working fine. So that's just in a site.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's in a site that just only had like one little site at a stadium that just has like 5 frequencies, but they're just doing a little mini system that an emergency EMS would be doing, and that way I always started as a conventional, and then go once I work out that it is a trunking system, and then you start seeing all the different services at that venue.
So, Scanner Shane, do you have a YouTube channel?
I do. I thought you guys subscribed to it already.
I probably have, but I don't remember it at the moment.
I put up a video, actually. It's
more videos than Joe Brett does.
I put up a video of my POTA activation from Las Vegas back in February. I did a little snippet on my setup, how everything was set up.
What's the
what is the name? The ape will find it, and we will share it with our.
Oh boy.
You don't even know the name of your damn channel?
Oh, come on, man.
We did this last time, if I remember correctly.
I know we did this last time. We had to look it up.
Oh my God! All right, so I've got.
It was Shane something, right? Shane.
I think it was Shane,
the redheaded stepchild.
UFI. There you go.
It's KI6 UFI.
No, Q was in Queen. Q was in
QFI.
Because he's a
Quebec.
White.
Come on,
Quebec.
Quebec. So if you have a multicast system, Chuck, were you going to say something? I cut somebody off.
Well, no, I was going to say, is there any other pressing questions in the chat? I haven't been looking at the chat that anybody's asked about scanners or want to know.
I see a couple. I have one I'm going to cut in front of them. So if you have a multicast system, which a lot of them are, and you're putting the multicast system in, do you put in all the sites and are all the channels that you might want to hear on all the sites, or are they limited to sites? How is that split up, and what's the best way to put in a multicast system? Should I aim at the tower that's closest to me?
Well, I guess the first thing you need to do is find the control channel. That's you don't really need to worry about the voice frequencies because the scanner will work.
The radio will do the rest.
So if you don't know the control channel, that's when I put them all in. And then once you start seeing the data come up, you know that is the control channel. Then you can ignore the rest and just put in the control channel and the radio will work out.
Well,
the rest.
so the question is this, though. For example, here in Montgomery County, we have about, 6 or 7 sites. And the channels at each site are different, and they have their own control channels at each site.
Yep.
At least, according to Radio Reference, every frequency is a control channel for our system.
Well, it has the capability.
Right. Yeah, I figured that's what they actually meant.
Yeah, it has the capability because that control channel rotates.
Yes, it does. And so what I was wanting to know, I live in the county and I might be closer to site C than I am to site A or B. And if all I want to listen to is the county sheriff, I don't really want to aim my scanner Yagi at the tower in the city. And my question is, does it matter which one I aim it at?
Well, if you're you're more interested in programming the talk group than the actual control channel, because then you're only really scanning the talk group.
Yeah, right. But what tower should I aim it at?
If it's the county sheriff, my guess is that talk group is being broadcasted on all the sites simultaneously.
Yep.
So it wouldn't really matter what site.
That's what I was asking.
Your Yagi at.
Yeah, and
because they're all being simultaneously broadcasted.
Yeah, you kind of have to ignore the frequency in that sense, which is, it's a different way of thinking, and you just really just concentrating on the talk group.
And some talk groups have the ability to what they call a roam. They can roam from site to site. And then there's other talk groups that this is all based on the system administrator's preferences. There's talk groups that are also strapped to particular sites or cells, so they won't be able to roam, and it's configured that way in the core of the trunking system you're monitoring.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, we have an area here in Southern California called the San Gabriel Valley, and we have a dispatch center called Verdugo Fire. Well, San Gabriel Valley has 2 cells. They have a Pomona cell and Glendora cell, and on their trunk system there. And San Gabriel Valley is completely covered by LA County Fire. So that Verdugo Fire talk group cannot roam over to that cell because it's not needed over there. And it's just another talk group to tie up the system. So they restrict it to certain cells where it can affiliate to.
Right.
And when the sheriff is driving around, his radio will affiliate with different sites as well.
Yeah.
So
that's kind of what I was guessing, but I wasn't really sure how that was going to work exactly.
So that's when you're interested in the talk group, not necessarily the frequency, because
Right.
he's the one moving around and
Yeah, that
radios
talk group is coming out on multiple sites at the same time.
time. Yeah.
You could do that with DMR affiliation, right? Like you can roam between repeaters, but you still use the same talk group.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So the talk group is the key.
Right, James Hannibal.
James Hannibal. All right. There was a couple things in
he's
the
gangsters F.
He is.
As
He
ass,
is.
he's gangster ass.
Right.
Gangster F.
Oh man.
Anime's asking which one you should buy. The most expensive one you can afford, Anime, because you'll
What
be
happens
happier.
in Vegas stays in Vegas.
And if you want to go cheap, DSD Plus is $25 and a SDR dongle is $25, and you're in it for $50.
People
But it's a
always
little
give me
more
grief.
technical to set it up.
Yeah, people give me grief because I don't do that. I always use the scanners like the SDS. My thing is that if I'm sitting in the basement, I want to be able to go upstairs and still listen to my scanner, and so I can take this. Or if I want to go sit on the front porch and have a nice cold iced tea, I want to take my scanner with me and listen to it. And people start saying stuff like, well, "You can get a Raspberry Pi and you can get a scanner, and then you can get." Yes, you can.
That's
you can do
too
that.
much configuration.
Yeah. Plus, you end up with it looks like a terrorist bomb. You know what I mean? That you're carrying around the house.
A rat's nest of wires.
Yeah.
It's like going out and testing an antenna with nano VNA. You know, you got the pick, you got all this other stuff you got to carry with you, man. It's like all these adapters.
Exactly.
I'm being made
Just
fun
saying.
of here by our friend John.
Yeah, and the controllability. It's that controllability. You know, like we were saying before, you can lock out a bank, and you can activate a bank. You can't really do that with some of the SDS software. It's just too complicated. It's great for analyzing and for searching for
It's more test gear than actual useful scanning.
Well,
right.
I saw a video where this guy had mapped out his entire police department, so he knew what radios were in which cars and all that kind of stuff, because he would listen to it and map it with his SDR, which is pretty neat.
Yeah.
That's
And then
right,
you put
Jeff.
aliases on the IUIDs.
Yeah.
One thing you haven't tapped into is the antenna you use as well, because that can be a difference. I just use a disc cone if I plugged into to the wall, but some of these antennas are pretty deaf actually, so having a good antenna does help. And you can also, if you're in a city area, having a high gain antenna can actually be detrimental because you're overloading your scanner as well.
Right.
Desensing the receiver.
And some scanners handle the simulcast stuff better than others. The Unidens are, everything I've ever read, are the best at handling simulcast. Although this one, and Anime, this is the one that I love this thing. And the redheaded ginger scanner man got me on it.
I enjoy this scanner more than that scanner, but the Uniden's the one that I take everywhere because it's form factor and its battery life. But I feel like I like this one.
Which one do you take with you?
The Uniden.
I'm sorry, Unication.
Unication.
That's what I
I
thought.
was going to say, Jim was throwing up a correction there.
That was Chuck. That was Chuck that called him out on that.
Yeah, no, you're
I'm not
holding
even
up to
paying
the screen
attention.
saying,
It's like, you know.
hello.
Listen, I had a long day, okay? I'm saying.
Guys, I appreciate it. Listen, fellas, we are over time. I think Kyle is streaming. Kassler's been streaming. So has KB9 VBR. So no, it's not a flex stream.
Wow.
They're not talking.
It's not a flex stream. I think it's a CW stream. No, there is a Kyle flex stream next week, so I'll have to leave early. I have to leave early next week.
Oh, you're leaving because you got to go stream with Kyle, huh?
On a flex stream.
I went over to Michael's
right now. Is that what's happening?
Yeah.
I went over to Michael's and chatted with those guys for a little while I was listening to you guys.
Oh, so you were just...
He gave us a shout out while I was over there.
All right.
Nice.
Our new antenna that
Guys,
he's got. One of our new antennas.
Thank you guys for being on. And thanks
guys.
everybody in the chat. It was had a fun time tonight.
Yeah, it was a great show. Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks
Glenn
for having
and
me on
Shane,
again.
thank you all.
Anytime.
Shane, we were proud you had clothes on. That's and reasonably clean.
I'll take your advice on muting the clubhouse so I can get your messages on Discord.
Right? Totally mute them. Mute entire server. There you go.
There's nothing important.
It was all throughout the night. I'm like, what is happening here?
All right, I'm hitting the button. Bye, you
Okay.
guys.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Later on.
7-3.
Button is hit.